Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 205 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 2nd, 2024. How's everyone doing today? Yeah, doing well, I hope. It's dang beautiful outside, man. Tell you what, year's off to a great start. Great time to shoot suppressed small arms. Happy to have you here today. I think it's going to be a fun time. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I do appreciate it. We have quite a lot of publications in the hopper, folks. It's nuts. Speaking of, actually, today with this podcast, we are publishing the Mercy Firearms Pluto data. That's right. That's a tiny 22 silencer. We tested on the bolt action 22 rifle, that 16-inch CZ 452 American. Just really great rifle. Really great test host. And, you know, that silencer is pretty interesting. And when I say it's tiny, yeah, it's small, but maybe a better adjective is ultralight. I mean, it's pretty crazy because the dang thing's only 2 ounces. I know. It's only 2 ounces, guys. So it doesn't even make sense. I actually love when crazy stuff like that happens. Like when we see a product that has some kind of weird characteristic like that, and then it actually performs pretty well. We're like, what? So that's cool. So yeah, we're going to give an introductory discussion for that test report today. And if you're tuning in, you know, after around, 0700 Central Time or so, U.S. time, that article should also be live on the website. So you should be able to check it out right now if you're not an early bird. So yeah. And speaking of production deliverables, guys, next week there's going to be even more data coming. It's crazy. And I think the week after that as well, there's going to be more. I'm still trying to iron some things out. So it's getting nuts. It's getting action packed. I think between all this cool data going on and e-forms being crazy, it's a recipe for wonderful chaos that I hope you all enjoy. It's like a beautiful disaster, you know. It's gonna be nuts. There's just so much information coming. There's so many new products coming out, and I'm just so honored to be able to showcase it all. It could not be a better time in silencers right now. I guess it could be if the silencers were completely deregulated. That would be the best time. But I think in the recent past, I think we're sitting pretty right now. So count our blessings. Now, also on today's episode, we're going to talk rimfire pistols. Yeah, because why not, right? Tis the season. Everyone's out plinking around, you know, as you should be. I've been messing with some lately. I think I posted a post on social media the other day of a bunch of 22 pistols with different silencers just because I was like, check this out. You know, what do you guys think? And, you know, I got some really interesting opinions from folks. I've been trying to find the coolest ones. I've been on Gunbroker late at night, autistic gun searches. It's fine. Folks have been asking me about rimfire pistols on social media quite a bit since I've been talking about them. And so I thought, hey, I'll do a podcast topic. We'll start with the basics. And what I'm going to start with after the basics is I want to talk a little bit about the FN 502, which is just the latest one I've been messing with. No particular reason that it's an FN gun. It's just actually a dealer sent it to me. Literally, a dealer was telling me he is having problems selling these things, and he was like, "Hey, you want to try it?" I'm like, "Turn down a free gun? No, you can certainly send it to me." So yeah, he sent me it, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I did to it in the talk today. Okay, you know, it's always a good time with 22 pistols, but I will tell you, my advice is it's good to know what you're getting into. Okay, chasing your tail is never fun. So we'll talk about some things to keep in mind when you're searching for a 22 host for your silencers. Okay, so sit back, relax. We'll talk about silencers as always. And first, I'm going to give you a word from our wonderful sponsors who make this podcast happen every week, which is pretty nuts. And this podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. nothing you do, exercise, sports, anything, really any skill is worth doing without consistency. What, you want to be good or not? You want to be the best or not? What? Come on. I know the answer. Yes, you want to be the best at what you do. And so you have to do it all the time. You got to practice. You got to show up even when you're tired. Oh, what? You want to recover more? Oh, well, poor baby's tired, can't work. No, Legion Athletics can help. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. They don't have everything you need, but they do have a lot of it. It helps optimize your performance. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes, code word PewScience, to save 20% off of your first order. If you keep using that code, you get double loyalty points every time you use it, so you end up getting a net 10% off everything going forward using that code. So that's like pretty good because you're going to buy the stuff anyway. Trust me, dude. If you're into fitness and supplementation to make your fitness optimized and your recovery optimized, and you start using this stuff, you're going to keep doing it. So might as well use the code because it's going to save you money. If you're going to buy the stuff anyway. So just use the code. Okay, cool. Get strong. It's important. Also, the podcast is brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston. These guys continue to level up in their game. It's pretty nuts. So if you are in the Houston area, and I know a lot of you are, and I know, frankly, that in the United States, of which this podcast hits a lot of, Texas is like the number one place for silencers just by numbers, right? And then Houston is like one of our largest cities. So I know there's a lot of you in the Houston area. So if you're around there and if you're just passing through on a business trip, which I know a lot of you pass through Houston as well, you should go check them out. So, what? Just tell the boss, like, dude, look, our meeting ran long. I'm going to be back a little late. Why? Why would you say that to your boss? Well, that's because you're enjoying Top Gun Range's 15-lane indoor shooting range and the largest firearm rental fleet in the whole state of Texas. That's right. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns, and you can even rent silencers, which is nuts. Check them out. You can check out their firearm rental inventory at topgunrange.com. You can also find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range. And dude, I literally they're a sponsor, but I literally just bought a Trijicon RCR from them and I put it on the FN gun. Like I texted Kyle at Top Gun. I was like, hey man, you got any RCRs? He's like, you sure do. And I was like, I want to buy one. He's like, okay. And I did. So I use them too. This episode is also brought to you by High End Armament Technology, a dealer of exactly that. Ridiculously expensive and esoteric high-end arms and accessories. They have significant longevity in the machine gun game, NFA game. Significant expertise in the procurement and operation of lasers, things like that. Infrared sighting systems. Check them out at highendarms.com, on Instagram at highendarms, and they even have a Facebook page which is High End Arms. I hope they can help you folks out. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. Okay, if you do enjoy their lunacy. Now, listen. This podcast is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk. You can do your fingerprints and photos electronically. You will cut down on errors. You will simplify your silencer purchasing process. They're working hard every day to work through this backlog of ridiculous e-forms that are going on. So in addition to making the purchase process easier for record numbers of silencer consumers, which normalizes the use of suppressed small arms. In addition to that, they are making it relatively easy for small businesses to sell silencers and not hold significant amounts of inventory. Okay? For small business owners everywhere, that can be a help. It takes some risk off the plate. I am told, and I don't know this because I'm not in the silencer sales business, but I am told he can help with margins and stuff. I don't know. If you're interested, if you're a dealer and you're and you're selling silencers, it might be worth talking to Silencer Shop. They're a good distributor, dude. They have a lot of stuff. But on the consumer side, no transfer fees, no paperwork errors, and you get your stuff with no drama. So it's silencer ownership simplified. They've been a supporter of the PewScience effort for quite some time. So if you see them, say hi. That's really all I'm saying to you. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PewScience Laboratory. I am the technical director of the lab, and in the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast. It runs a public research effort, and our mission is to continue to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing-safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. We take the entire window in time that's happening and we boil it all down to easy to use metrics for you, the user. It's pretty cool. It works. And Pew Science is the home of the Silencer Sound Standard. There are 7 sections in the standard, and it does contain the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire world, and it's all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com, so please go check it out. And all that stuff you see on the website, this podcast that I do for you guys every week, all the public testing that we do for you outside our client testing, all that stuff, keeping the lights on, it's all supported by you guys joining with a membership at pewscience.com. That's how this works. And you know what? If a monthly fee is like too crazy, I get it, dude. That's fine. If you want to just like throw us a bone every once in a while, there's a donate feature on the podcast page and the review page of the website. Every little bit helps. And you know what? If times are tight and like you're literally living on ramen noodles and you just listen to this podcast to like just relax and you don't even you're listening on some kind of like old like MP3 player because you downloaded the MP3 from like a public library and you're out of money, that's okay, dude. Something that's free, it doesn't cost you anything. You can give this podcast a good rating on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts to let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms and put a silencer on every gun. And I think we're way behind on that because I know there's a lot of guns and there are not enough silencers on them. So let's get that fixed. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about ads right now. I got 2 topics prepared for you today. The first topic, Sound Signature Review 6146, the Mercy Pluto on the CZ452 16-inch 22 long rifle bolt action. Rimfire's back. What is up? It's an introductory discussion for this white paper published concurrently with the episode, as I described to you in the intro. Is the Pluto small and light? Yes. It does 2 things. It is. Things are getting nuts, so we'll talk about that, okay? It's important to look at this because it just doesn't make sense. It's a preview of things to come in general in the industry, I think. Second topic, Rimfire pistol hosts. I told you. There are so many. We've been messing with the FN502, like I've been saying. It's like the full-size 509 and FNX series, but not. It's hammer-fired, but it's rimfire, and it looks pretty cool. It seems to work okay. It has some idiosyncrasies, though, so we'll talk about those. Talk about the experiences I've had so far personally with the weapon, and I really want to go into what folks look for in these types of hosts, and maybe that can help some of you that are new to suppressing rimfire pistols, so you get off on the right foot. Okay, we'll talk about that. So, oh my gosh, I just realized my pen. Where's my pen? I need a pen. 1 second. Oh, that's not a pen. Don't write with that. That's a weapon. Pen? Oh, Sharpie. Oh, this is getting ridiculous. Sorry, guys. I'm like out of my groove. This day has been kind of nuts. All right. I now have paper. Topic 1 at a time of 13 minutes and 35 seconds. Oh my gosh. He's crazy. He's disorganized. How can we trust him? Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6146, the Mercy. I'm sorry. I'm so tickled right now. It's just like, I hear so, it just, humans are hilarious. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6146, the Mercy Pluto on the CZ452 16-inch bolt action. Yeah, Rimfire's back. Rimfire testing's back, and I mean it's back in a big way, really. You won't believe, and it's kind of cool. So we'll give an intro to this paper, intro to the silencer, and it's always fun when we get to speak about something that's a little unique, and I believe this to be one of those things. So, Rimfire being back is interesting, and I actually feel like it hasn't been gone that long because we we have had such a high demand for rimfire testing in general, and that resulted in us talking about it, which resulted in companies reaching out to us, and it's a snowball. That's really how that works. And I think we last visited in February of this year, right? And so what a better way to kick off April with some more of it. Maybe we'll make a tradition, just keep doing rimfire testing every month. I don't know. So we are going classic on this. Like I said, we're going strictly bolt action on this one. Okay, so let's just frame this for you. Frame your expectations. We're going classic. We're going bolt gun, and we're doing it with something completely out of left field. At least for us, this is out of left field for us. Some of you, it might not be for you listening, but for us, this was out of left field. This little silencer is called the Pluto. That's right. Like the celestial body that no longer classified as a planet. Let's not get into that debate. But yeah, so this is sold by a company called Mercy Firearms. Okay, some of you may recall that Mercy Firearms is a relatively new corporate member of the research effort. That is no coincidence. They, at the same time, they were helping us with our public research. Being a corporate sponsor like they were also hard at work coming up with this little guy. And they're up in Franklin, Indiana. They're actually Mercy Firearms. They're actually an NFA and firearms dealer up there. I think they're doing other stuff too. So they're an SOT. They sell things, and they are dipping their toes into the silencer market. And you are seeing that in real time. Pew Science is showing you that this is their silencer, the Pluto. That they came to Pew Science, said, "Hey man, we have this little 3D printed 22 silencer. We think it's pretty quiet, especially for how small and light it is. Like, you should definitely test this." So we ended up talking about it, and sure enough, they wanted to show the world. We did the test program, and here we are. That's the history. So that's what the Pluto is. Like, this is literally something that, like, and I can honestly say this because I've spoken with the designer. I've spoken with people about the silencer, and this is literally, this exists because someone wanted to make something super, super light that their kids could shoot all the time and it be quiet and disappear on the gun. That is what the Pluto is. It's 3D printed titanium. Now, I will say their specifications say that it weighs 2 ounces flat, and I have no doubt that it might. We tested a lot, so ours now weighs 2.1 ounces. Okay. It's supposed to be 2 ounces. Ours weighs 2.1. I have no choice but to say it weighs 2.1. But yeah, it's a 2 ounce silencer. So, and if you measure it, which I have, it is 5 inches long flat. Okay, so imagine like a roughly 1 inch tube that's 5 inches long that weighs 2 ounces. Just like picture that. Like, and I know sometimes it's hard, and I understand that. Like, it's especially like when you're not talking about pounds, like when you're not talking about denominations of like a quarter pound with cheese, and you're talking about ounces, sometimes it can be hard to like conceptualize that. So I was like, how am I gonna frame this for people? So earlier, I picked something up on my desk. I have a little scale, and I was like, well, I use little Bluetooth earbuds for my phone. Like when I'm talking on the phone and I want to go hands free, like speakerphone's fine, but I like, noise canceling little earbuds. I use them in the gym too. They're little Sony. I think it's, I don't remember the model number. Actually, I'm a really big fan of them. So if you're into Sony earbuds, I think it's the WF-1000X. Anyway, they're really great. They're really great at noise canceling. Anyway, in the case, these earbuds, I put them on my scale, like the total thing, like the charging case and the earbuds themselves, the total thing was 1.9 ounces. Okay. And then so that was on my desk. So I put that on. I was like, okay, that's like extremely close to the weight of this entire silencer. That's wild. And then I also had some muzzle devices on my desk, and I picked one up, and this one is what do you call this? It's a spooky. It's a cat. So it's a flash hider. It's a half 28 cat flash hider, so it has a little more meat on it probably. And it weighed 2.7 ounces. Like, oh, okay, so that weighs more than the silencer. I was like, okay. So the silencer in its entirety weighs somewhere between your Bluetooth headphones and a flash hider. That's how light it is. Okay, I'm just putting this in perspective for you. That's how light the silencer is. And I kind of did some searching, and there's 22 silencers are often light, but one that could be considered like a high performance silencer being 2 ounces is not common at all. Okay, so this is 100% titanium, guys. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, I'm not like trying to sway you either way on anything. I'm just telling you, yes, it's a bolt action test. Yes, 22 is quiet, but consider all the things. Because I mean, why is that important? And maybe we should talk about that. I think we talked about this before. It's important because for the same exact reason we talked about when we tested and analyzed the Cat SR, wasn't it? It was important then too. Why? Well, the Cat SR is another ultra-light silencer. Now, that one's longer. It's larger, so that's why it's heavier, but it's also ultra-light. Okay? The weight of silencers, when you put them on long barrels, matters more than typical. Right? We've talked about this. You should know it's basic physics, right? You got a moment arm. So the further the mass is away from you, the more it influences the handling of the system. Yes? Yes. Okay, you can test that theory yourself. So when you think about rimfire, there's really zero reason to have heavy stuff on a bolt action rifle, right? Like if you have a bolt action rimfire like host, like a rifle, and you're not like some kind of bench press shooter that's spending like 6 hours straight like sitting down and like trying to group with like millimeter size groups, or like the world will end type of thing. Like bench press shooters, they're going to prioritize mass, right? Because they want the heaviest thing possible, because they want no recoil at all. Got it. If you're not one of those guys and you're just like walking around with like a 22 bolt gun at the ranch because you want to pop raccoons in the face, and you're like teaching your kid how to pop raccoons in the face, and your kid wants to walk around with it, like you don't want the silencer to impact the handling of the gun at all, right? I mean, let's be real. So it makes zero sense to have a heavy 22 silencer on your bolt gun, like, right? Like the pressures and the heat involved with firing 22 long rifle, CCI standard velocity, out of a full-length bolt gun, there is zero reason to have a super heavy system on the end. Nowadays, in modern times, zero reason, unless the only thing you have is a heavy silencer, and that's fine. But I'm saying, like, if you're like really thinking about this, right? There's no reason. So when you think about that, typically with like super small and light stuff, there's generally performance compromises, right? Like you could imagine. But I'll tell you this. Go look at this data. Okay, go look at this article. Now, and this is for everybody. I know some of you are like super experts at this, but not everyone is an expert, so be polite. You do need to understand that suppressing a 16-inch 22 bolt action is not hard. Okay? Don't let anyone tell you it's hard, because it's not. It's easy. So you do need to know that, and it's important to know that. So I don't want you guys to go thinking this is the same thing as trying to suppress a 308. It's not the same sport. When a low pressure subsonic round is fired from a long barrel, it's suppression on easy mode, dude. It's easy. Nonetheless, if a silencer weighs only 2 ounces and it's performing at this level, that's pretty noteworthy, right? So, I mean, you could go bigger and not do as well. You could go heavier and not do as well. So, guys, what I'm saying is that it performs well, okay? If you want to have the conversation about it performing well for its size and weight, yeah, you can talk about that too. But what I'm saying is you don't even have to say that. You don't have to mention the size and weight of it to talk about its performance. because it does perform objectively well regardless of its envelope. So you can have both discussions. So go check it out. It's simple, actually. The silencer, in geometry, it's simple. Now, one thing that is not so simple, it is monolithic 3D printed titanium with a actually pretty, it's a pretty dope texture on the outside. I have to say, the outside of it, I'm not one for fancy designs. On the outside, I'm very conservative when it comes to aesthetics. Because I'm old. I'm an old FUD, but silencer FUD, if there's such a thing. But when I see the outside of this, I'm like, that is like pretty slick, dude. That's pretty. Like subjectively, I'm like, huh, what an interesting design. It's like kind of digital. It's almost like digital camo design. So that's cool. Interesting texture on the outside. It has an interesting jet nozzle distal end. I thought that was like cool. And they definitely used 3D printing to their advantage for weight savings here. A lot of people talk about things like, oh, well, I saw XYZ design, and that is definitely something we could have used subtractive manufacturing for. Why would you use 3D printing? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh my guys, like, I hear you. I hear your argument. Like, absolutely. But don't forget that when you don't have threaded junctions and different parts in your assembly and everything can be monolithic, weight savings adds up. And again, I did some quick Googling to look at some quote unquote light silencers that people are marketing. And it's interesting to see what's out there, but this is 2 ounces. So, and we have data for it. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to hype it. I'm just trying to frame the conversation to give you good context. So go read the article, check out the Pluto. Let me know if you have questions. We will talk technically next episode, as is tradition. We're going to talk about the actual performance of the silencer. We're going to talk about what you can expect with other hosts, things like that, because I think that's important. I know we only have one data point for this right now. We only have the bolt action data, so I will give you some of my thoughts in addition to the ones that are in the article about what I think happens with shorter barrels and reciprocating systems with the silencer. I think you need to be cognizant of that. So again, it's a small rimfire silencer intended to do exactly what you see in this report. Like, this report characterizes what this silencer is for. And I know not everyone has a 16-inch bolt action rifle, but I'm telling you, this silencer epitomizes that application. So there you go. Okay. Design intent meets reality. Wild. The data's real. Weird. Okay. So big thanks to Mercy Firearms for trusting us to perform this work. Literally their first foray into this, and they came to Pew Science. And now you're hearing about it. And that is the process that seems to be working really well. And everyone's winning from this. So it's great. I'm happy to showcase this to the world. Again, we'll be back next week to do it full technical justice. It's cool. It's on my desk. It's on my hand. I'm holding it right now. It's like, why not hold it? It's 2 ounces. It doesn't even affect my gravitation. Like, it's like, oh, I have a 2 ounce thing now. Okay. It's like, what? It doesn't even make sense, dude. It's like, I wish everything was that light. But then, someone would put it on a belt fed and like, oh, we broke it. I'm like, did you? Did you, Einstein? Yeah, this silencer's in the mix. So pay attention. Don't sleep on that one. Okay. Topic 2 at a time of 28 minutes and 53 seconds. Okay. Very good. Yeah, we're making good time. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast today simply because I have quite a lot to do to prep for tomorrow, and it's been a long day. Okay, so topic 2, rimfire pistol hosts. Oh, this is so fun, and there's so many of them, guys. And we've been like I said, we've been messing with the FN502. It is one of the things about the 502 that's cool is it's like the Big Brother FN guns. There's so many common features. It's not like it exactly, but it has a lot of features. It's almost like a trainer. You could call it a trainer almost. It's kind of interesting. It's not a 1-for-1, but it has some common features. And I actually carry a 509 Compact Tactical a lot. So yeah, it seems to work okay. There are some idiosyncrasies, so we'll get into those. I do want to mention those. And I also, finally in this topic, I do want to really go through a generic discussion about 22 semi-automatic semi-automatic rimfire silencer hosts, pistols specifically. I do want to talk about those because I do think there's a lot of new people to silencers, and sometimes we focus so much on the silencers that people forget about host characteristics that are desirable. And I know that a lot of people understand the AR-15, but there is much misunderstanding with the AR-15 platform. And if you thought there was misunderstanding with that, imagine how complicated pistols can be. So, and Rimfire has some special considerations you have to think about, I think, too. So we'll talk about that. So I did think overall this talk would be topical and a little not topical, considering you didn't see the Pluto silencer we just spoke about on a pistol, right? Like we've only showed in bolt action today, so, or in the future today. Future J will show you that. But nonetheless, this episode is heavily Rimfire themed, all Rimfire themed. So it's time to do that. I think I want you guys to have the Rimfire content, as they say. It's been lacking. I understand, and you know it's true, and everyone knows this, or at least you should know that too much Mark 18 data is not good for you. Okay, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Clouds your judgment. You guys have too much gas in your face. That's your problem. No, a lot of you folks know that. A lot of you folks, you follow me on social media, so you see my ramblings, and I have a hankering for more suppressed rimfire pistol goodness. Like it's just like it's in me. I have the taste. So I'm a suppressed pistol junkie. And like all suppressed pistol junkies, the elusive, perfect suppressed rimfire pistol host haunts many of us, I think. I think it haunts me. I know several other people that it haunts. And finding that perfect host does take a long time. Or it can take a long time. And sometimes the perfect rimfire pistol host is a gun you've always thought was cool. And the 22 version of that gun just kind of clicks with you, and you're like, I got it. I got my guy. I got my thing. But sometimes the perfect host for you might be, maybe it's just the one that functions like a top, never jams, just hums along like a Honda Civic or something. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. But sometimes for others, a perfect rimfire pistol host might be the one that's easiest to shoot. Or maybe the easiest to clean. Or maybe the easiest to take apart. Or sometimes, and I've heard folks say this, sometimes it's the one that sounds the best. Because they don't all sound the same. Sometimes it's the one that sounds the best. So, like, clearly, folks that are chasing the perfect rimfire pistol host, they might have different ideas of what they think defines perfect. Okay? Not everyone is the same. And this is important for you to know in life. Okay? I think it was last night. Last night I was talking to this guy. I was talking to one of my colleagues. He was telling me about the development of the FN 502. And he was telling me that one of the goals for that platform was it being a trainer for optics-ready centerfire guns. What it would do, the theory was, it would teach you how to shoot a semi-automatic pistol with optics. It would get you hooked on that type of system, and then next thing you know, what are you doing? You're buying like a 509 with an RMR, and then you're off to the races, right? Understand? Like, you understand what that would be like a win-win for everyone, right? So yeah, so that's one of the I thought that was so interesting. So there are things like that, and then there are also little suppressed rimfire like Walther PPKs that everyone's like, oh, I want to be James Bond, so clearly I should get a 22 caliber version of this, and clearly I need a silencer on it. Look, I'm a spy now, and I can dress up as James Bond on Instagram, and everyone thinks I'm, it's like, it's weird, but whatever. Everyone has their thing. So there's a spectrum, right? There's a spectrum of folks like that. So what I wanted to do today, just to kick it off, and is basically like real time, like stream of consciousness brainstorm, like a few things with you. And I think it's important to do it like this because we'll be unimpeded by, preconceived notions, really. So I think I want to do it in two parts. So the first, and today, it's going to be two parts today, but I want to go like, the first thing I want to say, I want to talk about nuances of rimfire pistol hosts, like that are specific and that you might want to think about when you're hunting for them. Like maybe things that are a little unique to them and not necessarily common with maybe their centerfire brothers, right? Some things that you might not really think about or need to think about with the centerfire brothers. And then in part two, maybe we talk a little bit about the FN502 just because it's fresh in my mind. I'll talk a little bit about like just my very short time with it so far. It's not intended to be all-encompassing, like a review or something. Just want to give you an opinions. And then, but I do want to tell you some things that I'm personally noticing with it. I want to tell you what I hope to get out of it, things like that. Okay. So part one, we'll do this suppressed rimfire pistols and you. Yeah. So I did scroll on my envelope here, literally on the back of an envelope, a list of things that are interesting to think about when choosing a 22 pistol to suppress. And this is about suppression, guys. So if this is, don't get upset if like maybe, if something applies to pistol use in general, that's fine, but that is only by coincidence. If I mention it here today, I do believe I mentioned it because it has a purpose for silencer use, which is why we're all here. Okay. So don't lose sight of that. Don't do that. Okay. We're literally talking about silencers. If it's not related to silencers, it's probably not. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad or like not worth talking about. It's just, I know why you're here. Let's not beat around the bush. So first thing, item one, threaded barrel, right? Okay, easy, or is it easy? You thought it's a given? Well, I don't know. You sweet summer child, look, if you're like me, and you get the urge late at night to go on Gunbroker and buy random antique rimfire guns to put silencers on, you're quickly going to become aware that threading a gun is not always easy. Okay? Finding a good machinist that you can trust to do the work, not always easy. And just because the guy on Instagram that your buddy told you is good and has a lot of followers and references and, just send it to XYZ, he's great, it doesn't mean he knows anything about threading an obscure rimfire host, dude. I don't care who it is. You better check your references, because if your rimfire host has a weird recessed barrel, weird thin-walled barrel, or some weird esoteric like Walther or Beretta that like you can't even find mags for, because do not under any circumstances go hunting for a suppressed rimfire pistol without considering how you're going to attach that silencer, dude. If you have to talk to a machinist first before you even hunt for the gun, so be it. Do your homework, dude. Look, you're not a normal gun consumer. If you want to be a silencer guy, you're going to have to open up the crazy. Okay? Because we're not normal, and welcome to the club. Because if you're here, I already know you're not normal. You're listening to this, so bad news, buddy. You're in it. Okay? So look, what, you want to do a little work to solve an awesome problem? Well, oh no. Yeah, suck it up. Now, if you got a factory threading option, cool. That's awesome, but something to think about that. And just, I'm serious. And again, this is rimfire centric. If your rimfire host is threaded from the factory, you need to consider if there's an adapter required to make it work, because some of these silencer hosts, these 22 rimfire pistols, these modern ones that you can buy, sure, they do have barrel threading, but there is literally an adapter to take it to the half 28 you're going to need usually. And it's because of the size of the barrel, the interface with the slide, things like that. Okay, so find out about that. Find out what those adapters look like, exactly how they work. If it comes with a gun, which it probably will, but just even so, you need to see how it works. Find out if you need to remove the adapter to clean the gun, like completely field strip it. That's important to know. Because guess what? This is not a 9mm Glock, homie. If you plan on doing any serious shooting with a suppressed rimfire pistol, you're going to have to clean it eventually, okay? Like if you want to have a good time. And look, there are exceptions. I know someone's screaming, but I have this gun and I've shot 10,000 rounds and I've never had to clean it. Good job. You're not everybody, okay? So I know there's exceptions. I'm talking to the larger group, okay? Count on most likely needing to clean your rimfire pistol host that's going to be suppressed, okay? So maybe we talk about that. Maybe that's a good one. So item 2, that's on my list. Item 2, how do you take the gun apart to clean it? What, you thought, like, I'm telling you, this is not, dude, we're not talking normal guns. We're talking about rimfire, pistol, silencer hosts. You see how specialized this topic is? Item 2, how do you take the gun apart to clean it? Why is that important? Well, does it make you want to say curse words like an old Ruger Mark II? Or Ruger Mark III? You ever taken one of those apart and put it back together? You ever done that? Is that fun? Do you like doing that? Do you enjoy doing that? Do you enjoy? Oh, I love cleaning my guns. I love to sit in front of the TV on a TV tray and clean my old 45 watching Apocalypse Now. That's really great. Except cleaning your old 45 or cleaning your old SIG 226 is not like cleaning the Ruger Mark III. And it's and while you may think cleaning guns is therapeutic, I have news for you. Cleaning Ruger Mark III will make you want to end your life. So, frankly, that's ridiculous. And then maybe your rimfire pistol host has like a conventional takedown lever, like a normal firearm. That's cool. I don't know. Regardless, if it's easy or hard, you need to know, or you might need to know because you're going to be shooting it a lot, and rimfire ammunition is not clean. It's different. Like if you're new to rimfire pistol silencers, you need to understand, or rimfire pistol silencer hosts, when you shoot rimfire, the vaporized lead is a significant component of the debris, and it's going to coat everything, dude. And guess what? And here's another complication. Here's something you're not even thinking about yet. Guess what? The silencer you just bought that the salesman or the manufacturer told you was super awesome with, like, you know, with every gun, 9 times out of 10, it's going to have super high back pressure. And so it is, I promise. And what's that going to do? It's going to make your gun super dirty. So get used to that. And then also, when you shoot a lot of 22 and you clean this stuff, please wear PPE. Please, please, please. Lead is bad for your brain, turns out. That's right, we know that. Lowers your IQ, so keep that in mind. It's like, do we use leaded gas anymore? We definitely don't. Look at the IQ chart after we stop doing that. Item 3, speaking of back pressure. No, how does the host work? Oh, no, we're getting complicated. We've got to talk about physics now. Yeah, item 3. Remember, guys, everything matters. Item 3, back pressure. How does the host work? Chances are, if you're looking at a semi-automatic 22 pistol host, it's blowback. Okay? Like, chances are. And why? Why would that be? Like, oh my God, how could they? Well, turns out there are intelligent reasons. It's like, why would you operate a 22 pistol on simple blowback? Well, because you don't have a ton of combustion energy, do you? So, turns out it's pretty easy. Because if you needed to do something crazy, you'd be shooting a center fire pistol, but you're not. So, you can literally use inertia and spring force to do all the resisting of motion here that you want. Like, your conservation of momentum is like pretty slick, dude. It's great. chances are the gun has a bolt or a slide that's going to reciprocate, and it's a certain mass, and the springs are of a certain specification. So you're sitting pretty, and a lot of times, folks find that their rimfire pistols run pretty great with silencers, at least at first, because the silencer's adding more back pressure. So the action may cycle more with, maybe inconsistent or weak 22 ammo. It may cycle more with that than maybe it would cycle unsuppressed, right? So in that respect, it's a pretty cool thing. So in that respect, the silencer back pressure with a 22 system can actually be a positive for a lot of folks, because I don't know how many, you can go Google if you want. You look at all these anecdotal reports about 22 pistols and how reliable they are. And guys, when people talk about reliability of a 22 rimfire pistol, imagine the ammo variation, guys. And so when you put a silencer on it and you can speed that gun up a little bit or cut, it can help. It can be a positive. Now, the trouble comes in when you're doing a lot of high volume fire, and the same back pressure that's helping you push through the crud, it starts to generate more and more crud. You understand? It's like one of those kind of circular logic things. So you're tipping into one of those optimization exercises now. You want your host to function, but you want it to be quiet. You want it to not cycle too quickly because you don't want too much port pop, but you don't want it to cycle so slow that it can't break through the crud. So you got that balancing act, okay, right? So remember, it's blowback, so you gotta have that balancing act, and that's a case with rimfire that you do have to pay attention to because of the energies involved, because of the mass involved. So back to the original question in this item here, like back pressure and how does it work? Can you adjust the reciprocating mass? Will you need to? Are you going to add optics? Oh. Does it matter? Is adding optics to the weapon going to influence the operation? And that's a good question, right? Yeah, 1 second. That's on my list too, on this list, optics. So, item 4, optics. What a time to be alive, really, right? It's like, oh my God, it's like we got lasers. No, it's like space lasers. No, everyone and their mom has a freaking electronic dot on their handguns now, right? It's like if you're like, you're not cool if you don't have the latest, greatest, Church of Con, whatever, right? So now, not to be a boomer, but this is new. Okay, you know this. Like, it's relatively new. It's relatively speaking, it's pretty new. Now, I think they're cool. See, I'm cool. I'm hip. No, they have mass though. They do. They have mass. Oh no, they exist. So assuming you can add one to your gun, which you might not be able to, if it's like an old school rimfire hose, like you might not be able to unless you mill the side or something, or clamp it on with duct tape. But assuming you can put a red dot on your semi-automatic rimfire pistol host, which you should definitely investigate before you buy it, just if you want to do something like that. You really want to see how much those things weigh, and you want to see how much weight you can really add before you influence reliability. If the silencer you have gives you more back pressure, maybe that helps you put a heavier optic on the gun. It potentially could. Now, if the silencer doesn't have a lot of back pressure, maybe that's not going to help you. So be ready for that case. You see how everything's give and take. There are sides to every coin. There are multiple sides. Okay, so it's important. So I know, and I'm not going super deep into this. I know you're getting a lot of questions when I'm talking about each item, but I'm just going through this. I want to get your juices flowing. Okay, so there's that, and then magazines. Item 5, magazines. That's another thing. Oh no, guess what sucks? Stacking rimfire is hard. Why? Well, it's a rimfire. The dang case has a weird diameter on the back of it. It has a little protrusion. The rim of the rimfire cartridge, where the priming compound is. Is that weird? Yeah, who knew? Yeah. How many of you like shooting 8-round mags when you're plinking? Nobody. Boring. Yeah. Yeah, old guns are cool. So, yeah. You get a pass if look, here's my opinion. This is just like my personal opinion. If I'm shooting an old cool gun and the mag capacity is limited, I'm like, it gets a pass because I'm like, man, that gun's so cool. Like a single stack 9mm 8-round gun is like, man, that's a sexy gun. I like that. I like shooting that. That's cool. I don't hold it against it. Okay, but like when you're plinking a lot with like a 22, like, it's like, I kind of went more around. So a lot of modern 22 pistols have more capacity, which is cool. It is. Like I'm warming up to like technology, and it's cool. It's like, I mean, because remember, you're all spoiled by like the Glock 19, right? So welcome to Rimfire, where mags hold less ammo. And if your gun's old, they might cost $100 each, and it's just something to look at. So just look at the mags. Again, I'm not going to go super in depth on that, but I do think it is worth thinking about that. Some people they're like, oh my gosh, I got a 22 silencer and I cannot wait to shoot in my backyard illegally. I mean, just kidding. I can't wait to shoot in my safe legal area and have fun with no ears on. I can't wait to get a cool gun. And they buy a pistol host and like, well, I can only put 5 rounds in it. It's lame, right? It's like, nah, dude. If only we could have like 100-round mags, like drum mags on your pistol. That'd be awesome. Item 6, build quality. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, this is like one of those like things like no one wants to talk about. So remember how we talked about mass becoming a problem for blowback host because like if the reciprocating system's too heavy, you could have malfunctions. Like, understand? Well, guess what metals they use to make a lot of rimfire pistol slides? It's not steel forged in like a mythical foundry by the gods. It's not. I can assure you of that. It's not fancy. Look, I'm not necessarily saying they're made out of pot metal, but they're not Mark 23 slides. Okay, there are extremes here, and I'm telling you, the metallurgy is. It's not tip top. So you feel me? So look at what you're getting. Look, it doesn't have to withstand World War III. Don't get it twisted. This is not for self-defense. This is essentially a training tool, a target tool, a fun tool, a kid training tool. So it doesn't have to withstand World War III, but at the same time, when things fall apart in your hands, or God forbid in your kids' hands, it's no fun. No one has fun when their stuff breaks. So another thing you got to keep in mind, it's going to have to handle a silencer hanging off of it. And not everyone has a super advanced, lightweight 3D printed silencer to use on their gun. Sometimes you're using some kind of old, like, super heavy silencer and, just everything, in the back pressure, there's things that happen when you put a silencer on a gun. So just remain cognizant. I don't have any specific rankings for you on build quality of 22 pistol hosts, but just do your research a little bit. Okay. So item 6, build quality. Item 7, basic level of accuracy. Yeah. So here's one thing that this is, in my experience, has helped a little bit. Try to find like at least someone who's shot the type of gun you're looking at. Like, rimfire pistols should be common enough that it should be possible. Hey, here's an idea. Go to like Top Gun Range or something in Houston. Go rent one. I don't know. The thing about 22 is it's really not hard to make it accurate, especially when you're at these subsonic velocities. You should be able to make a fairly accurate weapon. It's not a huge concern, but your silencer might also play a role here. And there have been famous cases of silencers completely ruining 22 precision. It's a system. Those gases are moving faster than the bullet. They'll get in front of it. They'll push. They'll jet. If you're having issues with precision, remove the silencer and see if the issues persist. Okay, if it's the gun, that sucks, but at least you'll know. Okay, like I know that's like again, at the beginning of this talk, I said that some of these points are kind of universal for firearms, and it's like, duh, Jay. Yeah, maybe, except 22s with silencers can do weird stuff. So just kind of be aware that this is a thing, and it's something that needs to be in your mind. Okay, so there's that. List. 8. Yeah, item 8. Basic comfort and utility for silencer use. When I was writing these down, I was like, it's kind of a broad thing, but I do, and I'll probably hurt some feelings, but it's okay. I don't mean any harm. I know that the coolest influencer on social media posted a photo of their tiny 22 pocket pistol with a silencer, and they're like showing it, and they're like, this is the quietest thing ever. It's quiet as a mouse fart. I've heard that they say mouse fart. Oh my God. Okay. They're entertaining you. That is not real. Okay? If you put a silencer on a Beretta 21A, unless you're using a 22 silencer specifically designed for high pressure with a relatively high flow rate, the suppression rating of that system is not going to be what you think it is, dude. If you think you can't damage your ears with a suppressed rimfire pistol, you literally haven't been to our website. Right? And in a short Oculus, a short configuration Oculus with CCI standard velocity on the 21A has a shooter's ear suppression rating in the free field of like less than 50, dude. It's like, 45, 46, 47 or something like that? Okay, cool. Guess what is technically safer for the shooter in the free field than that? A suppressed through-weight bolt action with an advanced silencer. Oh, snap. That's right. So don't think like the little Beretta 21A that influencers and silencer manufacturers post on their Instagram pages with silencers is some kind of super quiet spy setup, dude. Like, that's the quietest thing ever. Oh, it's so quiet, dude. So quiet. No, dude. No. Why do you think we use it as a silencer host for testing? Like, come on, man. If you are shopping for a really quiet pistol host, a tiny little pocket pistol that's uncomfortable to hold, doesn't have any usable sights, loud with a lot of silencers, it might not be your jam. Okay? Physics does not care what the gun looks like, dude, even though we do. Okay? Physics cares about physics. That's it. It's selfish like that. It can't help it, dude. It's like that. It's like it has like Asperger's or something. It's not his fault. We don't hold it against it. Now, I will say, and I'm not saying the Beretta 21A sucks, because I picked it. I have to shoot that thing every time we test the dang silencer on it. I wouldn't have picked it if I didn't think it was a solid weapon system. I don't want you to think that you can get any pistol you want and everything's the same. Everything works the same. It's so quiet, and everything's quiet, and I never need to wear hearing protection, and all silencers sound the same, and no, that's old hat FUD lore. That's not true. And the whole reason you listen to this podcast and you look at the Pew Science website is to understand real information. So, item 8 in summary is basic comfort. If you really want to shoot all day with a 22 pistol, get something that's comfortable in your hand, like a normal pistol would be, and think about if you're even going to be able to see over the dang silencer to shoot. And the whole point of shooting 22 is to be able to hit stuff. How are you going to shoot Coke cans if you can't see use sights? And it gets really far. And you're drinking a beer with your buddies, and you got to bet people how far you can be away before you shoot it. Not that I condone drinking and shooting. Oh my God. No, that is enough for that list. I think that's 8 items. That's pretty good. 1 second. 8 items. Yeah. Yeah, that's good, right? I think we let's keep those. Let's keep those as a record of them in the back of our minds. And I have them written down here, and we'll add to the list later, right? We'll call it our list. We'll add to the list that stream of consciousness talking about each one. Just some things to think about when suppressing a 22 pistol. 8 things. So what we got? We got barrel thread. Okay, barrel threading, taking apart and cleaning, back pressure, mass, mechanical operation, optics and sights, build quality, accuracy and precision, basic comfort and utility for silencer use, like actual performance. Okay, cool. That's good. That's a good like start, right? Of like what to start thinking about for 22 pistol hosts. Okay, cool. A lot to think about. That's a lot. That's a lot of information, but it's important. Okay, so let's have more fun now instead of being like a lecture. Part 2, actual case study. Oh snap! Let's talk about actual gun. I have a bunch of 22 pistols. I do, and I got a lot of data on 22 pistol suppression. And right now, I'm shooting. And look, I'm gonna say this, and I can already feel the Reddit people. I can already feel what they're gonna say, and I don't care. I am telling you, I'm shooting that Cat SR the most of any 22 silencer I have access to shoot. And there's a specific technical reason. It's because it's the most advanced for what I want to do, and that's it. So just know that, okay? I am allowed to have fun, okay? So don't get mad. Please let me shoot and have fun. That's all I want to do. So I'm using it on the FN 502. That's right. Why? Why am I shooting the FN 502? There are actually 2 reasons. I think I said this before, but the first is because it was one of the new silencer hosts on my list to look at when I was like getting the fever for this stuff, when I was shopping for more hosts for the Cat SR. Because remember, guys, I'm a silencer guy more than I'm a gun guy. I know that sounds weird to some of you, but what does that mean? It means I shop for hosts once I zone in on silencers I like. You understand? Like that's my sickness. It's how I am. That's how I'm wired. Now, that's the first reason I'm using the 502, just only because it's on the list. And believe me, I have a list, and some of you have seen it. The second reason, a dealer literally sent me this gun because he told me, he's like, dude, I can't get rid of these. I can't sell them. He's like, you want one? And I was like, yes, I do. And so their loss is my gain. And I thanked him, and I feel like I need to pay the guy. Honestly, I feel guilty. Like, I don't like receiving free stuff. It bothers me. So I'm always like, oh, I feel like I need to pay you. So I do. I'm sure he'll need a favor later. So what have I done with the 502 so far? Not a lot. Because Pew Science has been so busy, I haven't had time to eat or sleep, let alone shoot. But I did mess with it a little bit, and I went ham because this is my gun. This is not for you, it's for me. I just want to tell you about it, and I'm being a little selfish. I get to have fun. This is a fun thing for me, and I went ham, and I put a Trijicon RCR on it because it's I don't have a closed emitter red dot, and I wanted one, and I said, well, you know what? It would look really nice on this 502, and so I did that. And the gun comes with an optic plate mount system. It does. I have it right in front of me, actually, right here. It's this gun. It's yeah. It has a little optic plate mounting system, kind of like the FN 509. Some of you are familiar with that firearm. Now there are some idiosyncrasies here. I want to talk about them. It's interesting. For example, the screws, they do screw into the metal slide. They do. They do. But the spacer between the optic and the slide is plastic. Yeah, which is fine. It's just a spacer. But the pins onto which the RMR footprint, because it's an RCR, it uses the RMR footprint, the pins onto which the RMR footprint of the RCR fit are plastic on that piece. So it's not really bad in this case. I was looking at it structurally, actually, about why that matters or why it wouldn't matter, why it would matter or not matter. I was like, that's probably fine. Because you're in 22 land, okay? So don't get too excited here. Remember, you do have the steel screws screwed into the slide, so there is a reaction transfer there too. So okay, that's fine. It's weird to me. Would I love that to be an all an all metal system, like an all like to have like a much higher modulus, like a much higher stiffness. Would I like to have a much stiffer material there? Notice I'm not saying necessarily strength, although that would be nice too. But what would I like to have a much stiffer material? It would give me a warm fuzzy. Yes. Is it mechanically required for these purposes? Not necessarily. So it's not the end of the world to me. That was my internal dialogue on that. Okay, so that's my opinion on that. And remember, you're in 22 land. Okay, the energies involved are less. Okay. Now, another thing, and I think this is important to talk about. Another thing you have to think about with the RCR and optics like this on a gun like this is mass. Remember we just talked about that on our list? Yeah, you have to think about the mass. So I wanted to talk about this, and I was reminded of it. And like you might be asking, well, how do you know? Like, well, I know about it firsthand on this one, so I can definitely outrun this gun. And I'm pretty. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty good at outrunning guns. Like semi-auto, like I can outrun a gun. Like I can pull a trigger like way faster than some guns can run. And this one, I outran this in my first yard pop. Like my first mag dump, I outran this gun. And I was like, that's okay. I didn't know how the gun worked, but I was like, I'm doing a mag dump right now. I was like, I'm so psyched. So I did. I was like, And if I shoot too fast, what happened? What I mean by outrun the gun is I'm outrunning the trigger. How does that manifest physically? Well, it's literally exactly what it says. You outrun it. It does not malfunction. You just find yourself squeezing the trigger faster than the gun can respond. What does that mean? The slide is still reciprocating and it hasn't come back into battery as you squeeze the trigger again. Okay? So what are you doing? Like, what are you not able to be? You are unable to do your quadruple taps like a ninja. You're like, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. No, you're not Jason Bourne. Or you can be, but you have to be more controlled. Understand? It's like, you're like great value Jason Bourne. So that is one of the first things I noticed. And another reason why that's important, I have not shot the gun unsuppressed yet. Okay. And I just happen to be using the Cat SR on this gun. That silencer has a very high early time flow rate. And I'm not sure. Again, don't quote me on this, but I'm not sure, but I'm willing to bet the Cat SR is not significantly speeding up the gun. Okay? If what I think is true, and the RCR is still working for me on this gun, that means with normal 22 silencers, you should be just fine with the RCR, right? Because those normal silencers are going to have higher back pressure. Okay? So that's something I need to go experiment with later. I wanted to give you my preliminary findings on that. I have read, I do some Googling every once in a while, and I saw some folks say, well, I don't know that I can use a XYZ sight on this gun because it might be too heavy or something. And I mean, that's a real thing, okay, with 22, because remember, it's blowback, okay? And there's no and you know how it doesn't have to have a tilting barrel? Like, it's like, this is all inertia, baby. Yeah, there's a recoil spring too, but the inertia is super important. Mass, okay? Mass times acceleration, okay? That's the inertial term. So, 1 second. Excuse me. And so, just so we don't gloss over this, the back pressure of the silencer and the different optics you may be able to use is important to understand. Okay, so you should know that. For this gun, but it actually applies in general for all suppressed 22 pistols. And I really want to. I'm hammering this point home so much because I do believe it's going to be it's a surprise tool that's going to help you later. Here's a real world example for you, and I've talked about this multiple times. Some of you may not know. If you take a standard Ruger Mark II, okay, Ruger Mark II pistol. or Mark III from back in the day. Or take one of your new fancy copies, like the, what is it, Volkorsten or whatever you pronounce it, the Mamba thing, the mini Mamba. Take one of those fancy things. It's a Ruger, dude. It's call it whatever you want. The simple Ruger design with the reciprocating bolt. Okay, fine. Everyone and their mom loves to get those things with a little like 2 to 4 inch barrel, right? Right? They like one of the 2 to 4 inch barrel on those little guys. Why? Why do they like that? Why? Well, there's 2 reasons. Size with a silencer. That's an easy to understand that reason, right? Easy to understand that reason. Also, with those short barrels, there's the fact you can put cheap Walmart bulk pack 22 ammo. Like I'm talking, Joe Blow, Federal Champion, whatever, garbage ammo. You can put it through a 2-inch barrel, and the push distance with the propellant is so short that the bullet won't make it up to supersonic velocity. And so the ammo is going to stay subsonic no matter what ammo you put in that gun. And everything you shoot through that gun is going to be subsonic. So you can be more flexible in your ammo purchases at the sporting goods store for your kid or whatever. And you think everything's fine because you're like, the kid's just going to be popping cans. Let's just get a pack of bulk pack and put it in the cart and go get me a Mountain Dew or whatever you people drink. Anyway, so yeah. So newsflash, don't drink sugary drinks like that. It's bad for you. Or do it. I don't care. But newsflash, when you're in your sporting goods store with your flyer to clip the coupons and get a good deal on your bulk pack, guess what? 22 ammo sucks. It's inconsistent. You're going to have a bad time. And unless you're getting quality, consistent ammo, the chances of your rounds having the same combustion energy to make your gun function reliably are slim to none, dude. Okay, so I really want you guys to understand 22. And some of you are listening to this and like, Jay, we know how 22 works. Like, I know you do, but there's a lot of people listening to this never shot a suppressed 22 pistol, and they don't understand that when you have something actuating and it gets dirty, and you're counting on the combustion energy of an inconsistent phenomena like the priming compound in a rimfire case and an unknown quality bulk pack Walmart purchase, you're next thing you know, you're on a stupid internet forum saying your gun's not reliable. Oh, is it the gun? No. Okay, so stick with me. I really became acutely aware of this phenomenon when I would back in the day, it's got to be 15 years ago, I would tune these Ruger pistols for optimal signature with a silencer. And back in the day, if you had talked about 22 silencer back pressure, people would look at you like sideways and be like, "What are you talking about, dude? Shut up, nerd." Like, okay. So most 22 silencers had high back pressure. No one cared about it. And so I was a lunatic, still am. What did I do in my lunacy? Well, I had a custom weight machined. I'm not a machinist, never claimed to be, but I know physics. And I told this machinist, I was like, I need a weight I can clamp to the rear of my Ruger Mark III bolt that weighs exactly this much. No more, no less. Please, sir. And he was like, I got you, fam. And he made it for me, and I bought it, and he shipped it to me. And I made it have, and my trial and error story I'll tell later. You don't need to know what I did to do this. It was dangerous, but at the end of the day, I had this guy had made me this thing that was the exact weight that I told him to make it, and it was the exact amount of mass to make a certain silencer combination super pleasant at my ear when I shot. I did not have PewSoft at that time. I had not done silencer testing like that, high fidelity, but I knew that this is like the early stages of the suppression rating tuning with like this, my ear as the pressure sensor. Like I knew what I was doing. And I was like, I know exactly how to make this the most enjoyable thing to do. And I did. And when I did that, I noticed that when I used CCI standard velocity, I had perfect reliability. Because guess what I had done? I had tuned a 22. Very few people go to the bleeding edge of something like this. because they're not lunatics, but we are. So that's what we do. So I had perfect reliability with CCI standard velocity, and that's how I had developed the mass tuning, because I had to do a lot of trials, right? Because I had one shot. Like I was, I'm an engineer doing engineering stuff, but like, on the weekends, I'm like, oh man, like this is a long time ago. I'm still, getting my legs and, building a career for myself. And I don't have, I was full time going crazy doing stuff. And I was like, man, if I can just get a mass number, I only have enough money to like, I'm gonna have this guy machine this thing, but I know what mass I want. I don't want to have him have to do it twice. So I did a lot of testing with, over and over again, and with some other systems I had made that were like not something permanent you would want to use on the gun that was safe. It was like super unsafe what I was doing. But I was like, well, if I can get this perfect mass. And so I used CCI standard velocity, and man, it was just so consistent. So I did that. I was a happy camper. I got the thing back. I put it on the gun. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, I am a wizard. Look at this power of physics I have. I am just going to be, this is the coolest thing. And like, no one cared, but I cared. So it was cool because I could tell the difference. Like it was like with the silencer I was using, it was way quieter. You could hear it. And if you could hear it being way quieter, the suppression rating had like jumped up, right? It's like awesome. So I was like, I was thinking I was hot stuff, right? I'm like, oh, well, this is great. I'm going to go shooting again. So like, I think I was on a hunting trip or something. And I had brought the suppressed GAT with me to like, I was at hunting camp and like, didn't have a lot, maybe it was like raining. Didn't feel like going out. And I was like, I'm just going to pop, like, maybe put some old bottles up and like, do some plinking around the campfire or something, whatever. So I get out a pack of bulk pack 22 ammo. Dude, it worked okay. But if I wanted to keep it super quiet with that mass on the bolt, I was going to have occasional malfunctions. And why was that? That was because the ammo was inconsistent. And that ammo inconsistency comes from a couple different reasons. Sometimes it's priming compound, sometimes it's a powder load, sometimes it's both. The 22 ammo it sucks. Okay? And guys, it happens with 5.56 ammo too. If you haven't operated on the bleeding edge of reliability for these types of testing evaluations, you don't know. But I can tell you what, like that Norma tactical 5.56 stuff, it's garbage too. I think that Norma Tactical 5.56 ammo is the same thing as that's like Federal Bulk Pack 22 in my mind. Like you know what I mean? Maybe not as bad. Maybe I'm not doing them justice, but my experience has been. So I say all this to say, mass matters, gun cleanliness matters, silencer back pressure matters, ammunition matters, because you're in blowback land. Okay. You're not in gas-operated AR land where you're hoping to God that your gas port is big enough and your gigantic explosion is big enough. You're not there, dude. You're in blowback 22 land where the ammo is just, it's voodoo the way it works, honestly. The guns are made of pot metal. The kids are using them. So you're not in your normal like comfort zone, okay? So that's what, like, right now, this FN 502 that I have in front of me, so far it's pretty cool. It's kind of like you're using a 509 or like an FNX or something, kind of, right? The manual of arms, if you want to be formal about it, it's pretty simple. It's pretty good if you're looking to train with it, kind of, okay? And it looks cool, and I'm all about that. It looks like an actual gun, which is like one of the reasons why this is one of the first new pistols I'm putting through its paces, because I'm not I honestly, when I'm looking for entertaining guns to shoot, looks matter to me. I'm call it superficial, but I think ugly guns can be stupid, and I like things that are pretty, and I'm sorry. And I think I've earned it in my life to buy nice things, and I think having the gun that's pretty is nice, and this is pretty. And the magazines hold either 10 rounds or 15 rounds, and it comes with both. And they have a thumb detent thing, which I think is really cool. So if you eject the magazine, and this is like, if you're like a 22 hobbyist and you like really like to shoot a lot of 22, obviously like loading like your 9mm mags is like way easier. Like a 22, you don't push the follower down typically with the Sometimes you do, depending on the gun. But a lot of times with 22 pistols, you don't push the follower down with your rimfire case. You pull the follower down first, and you drop the rimfire case into place. Or cartridge into place. I know that's weird. It's how the guns work. But it just so happens that on the FN mags, the little, I'm going to call it a thumb, there's a protrusion attached to the magazine follower you can engage with your thumb. You're like, let's say you're right-handed. You grab the magazine with your left hand. You engage the little nub with your left thumb. You pull down, and then you drop the cartridge into the magazine with your right hand. That mechanism and action is very ergonomic and easy to use, and it doesn't mess up your thumb, and it's easy and it's awesome. And that is like when I was loading the gun to do some alleged yard pops, I was like, huh. That was smart. I'm glad they did that. That was easy to load. I'm out shooting way faster than I thought it would be. Cool. So that was something cool I noticed. Awesome feature. Actually, like, I know that's a little thing, but to me, that was dope. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting, the barrel, right? So I was looking at this, dude. You can take the barrel out of the gun. And I know that sounds like a normal thing you can do all the time, but you can actually take this one out just like you could take out like a Glock barrel. It's cool. And what's also cool, it's natively threaded, and you don't need an adapter for it. Oh, snap. That's right. No adapter needed, dude. That's cool. I love that. Because what does that mean? I can take apart the gun without taking off an adapter. Yes. It's actually important to me, especially with 22. So that does bring me to something that's a little weird, and I do believe this is a quality issue. One second. This is like I was saying, quality. This is not. I mean, I know it's an FN, but it's made by like the Umarex people in Germany, which it's a good factory, but in Germany there. But there is something that I found. There's a problem with this gun. It's not huge, but like, so when you take this gun apart. And again, this goes directly to one of the things on our list, right? How easy it is to take the gun apart. Like, we don't want a Ruger Mark II situation. That's a nightmare. You don't want that. So when you go to take this gun apart, it's actually pretty intuitive. Where you would lock the slide back with a slide catch. The takedown lever would rotate clockwise, just like a combat handgun should. No, I'm not talking about Glocks. I'm talking about real guns. Oh no, he triggered me. He thrashed a Glock. So you rotate the takedown lever clockwise, which will then let you remove the slide forward after pushing it forward, because it no longer engages that part of the barrel. Okay, fine. When I go to put the gun back together, I found something bound. Like, I couldn't rotate the takedown lever back up counterclockwise. I was like, uh-oh. What I had to do is I had to push the barrel back when putting the gun back together. I had to push the barrel back to be able to rotate that takedown lever back up into the locked position. So I looked at the parts, and I was like, I imagine there's a little bit of a tolerance, or it might be a little bit of a machining burr. There's something on that part. I think it's ever so slightly off that makes you have to fiddle with a little bit and like push that barrel back to really get that lever back up. Now, is that a huge deal? Absolutely not. But since I figured that out, I was just sitting on my gun bench like, why can I not get this gun back together? Once I figured that out, I was like, man, I bet you that's going to happen to somebody, and I am going to talk about it, because I just don't want you to think like it's your gun. I think it's like, I bet it happens a bunch, because if that happened to this gun and it's a mass-produced part, I bet you that could be common. So just watch out for that. It's not the end of the world. It's definitely something that is workable. You just have to really just force that barrel rearward when you're putting that lever up, and so that should work. Also, one thing I noticed on this particular gun, sights are plastic. That sucks. Weird, right? But I put a $600 Trijicon red dot on it, so there goes that problem. So, and speaking of that, and that's one of the items on our list, I do like how slow the slide moves with the RCR, and the Cat SR. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put an element, like an old AAC element on it. I'm going to put a rugged Oculus on it, and I want to see how it feels. I bet the slide moves faster. I bet it does. I should get the high-speed camera and do a kinematic study, but I sort of like the slow clunk. Honestly, I sort of like it. And dude, this gun sounds so dang good with that SR. It's so cool. It's definitely this definitely is like a toy because it sounds like a toy. Like when you shoot it, it's so quiet. Like this sounds like, dude, if I didn't know any better and I was not shooting the ground, so because shooting the ground's loud because of the bullet impact, like this thing is like, if you were just shooting this, like if a kid was shooting this like in the backyard or something, like you wouldn't even know it was a gun. It is nuts. So you better be careful. You better make sure people know this is a real firearm. It's quiet enough. It does not seem like a firearm with a silencer. And I actually said that in articles. I say that in articles when I write 22 articles because I need people to understand, like for safety reasons, like you do need to understand these type of weapons are quiet enough to where these weapon systems are quiet enough to where it can be dangerous because people may not respect the danger of the firearm. Like maybe people new to firearms that don't understand safety practices may not apply the same safety practices they do to an AR-15 to a suppressed 22 pistol, and I think that's bad. I think that all guns demand respect and safe handling. So just be careful with that. Okay, so that's important. Now, I will say also, just and this is just like a personal opinion. The SR on this gun, the SR's light. I believe it's, what is it, like 4 ounces or something like that. I do think it's light enough to the balance of the pistol is perfect. It's fine. That Mercy Pluto that we're publishing today, it's half the weight. Okay, it's 2 ounces. So it's lighter. I have not tried the Mercy Pluto on the 502, but we can talk about this next week in the technical talk. There are silencers designed for bolt actions. There are silencers that are designed for other things. Back pressure is real. We'll table that for now. Okay, cool. I have only put 2 magazines through this gun so far. The gun's not getting as dirty as I would think. I've put 2 magazines on this would be 30 rounds. I've put 30 rounds through some suppressed rimfire setups, and they've gotten so dirty. This is not getting dirty right now, and I don't know why. I have a guess. I think it's because of the silencer, because of the lack of back pressure. I am using CCI standard velocity, but it's not like it's like super clean compared to other 22 ammo. So I'm going to shoot this a lot more. I'm going to see what happens. What I did before I shot it was I took it apart, just a field strip, and I put oil, gun oil, an actual, not a CLP, an actual oil. So not something that contains like any kind of solvent or anything to clean. This is just a lubricant. I put an oil on all the shiny surfaces, on the frame rails, just like you would do with any semi-automatic pistol. But, what I did not do, I did not clean it. I did not clean off like the residual preservative lube or anything like that, mostly because I was lazy. So far so good. No malfunctions, but again, that's not really meaningful for you since I only have 30 rounds through it, but I'm only using CCI standard velocity because I have no reason to use any other ammunition in my experience. That's all I use. So far, so good, and it is slick, dude. It's comfortable. It looks cool. That Trijicon sight is money, dude. It's badass. I bought myself a gift. I was like, $600. I can swing that. And so yeah, that's on the gun. The gun moves slow with the silencer. It's kind of like a clack clack. Like I'm a fan of that. So baller. That's awesome, dude. So that's my intro. That's my intro for you guys on 22 pistol suppression. That's all I have for today on that. So we went over a list of things to think about when you get a 22 pistol, and there's no wrong answers. I just want you to know what you're getting into. And I talked about the FN 502, just because, and I'll be talking about other ones too. I just like, this one's cool. Yeah. There's some, like, I know there's a Taurus. I have the Taurus ones too. The Taurus one I think you put the optic on there, and the reciprocating system moves without the optic moving. So that takes away your fear of optic. But you know what that also does? That doesn't give you the opportunity to slow your gun down if your back pressure is too high in the silencer. Oh, you see how everything's a mixed bag? Everyone thinks like everything's good until they realize like, oh, everything could be good or bad depending on what your needs are. Oh my God. Oh my God, there's nuance? Say it ain't so. That's right. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please go check out the Mercy Pluto bolt action data. I'm telling you, the silencer's nuts. It's so small, so tiny, so light. Looks neat. It's impressive. I hope you got some useful info about all this stuff today. I hope this is. I had a lot of people ask me so many questions, and I think I must have answered a ton of them at once for people in this talk. I know I'm going to get more, but that's okay. So I like talking to you guys about this stuff. It's cool. Okay. So stay tuned. So what I want you to do, stay tuned, because next week, in addition to talking technically about this Pluto data and analysis, there's going to be even more data. And next week, that's going to be nuts, dude. Like, you heard it here first. Like, next week, the data and analysis that we were releasing, I do believe is going to be a barn burner. And that's cool, because it's like there's actually going to be multiple hosts. I think I want to say next week. I think there's multiple hosts, so that's going to be cool. Okay, yeah. So you might not actually be ready for next week. That might be too much. What time to be live? Stay safe out there, friends. I will talk with you folks again soon. Okay, bye.